Good afternoon. Yeah, afternoon it is today. Right. So, it's been a while since we did a live stream. There's been a few reasons for that. One, I was ill. Two, I sliced my fingernail in half and I couldn't type for about a week or so. That sucked. It's all right now. Yeah, it wasn't good. Three, I was blocked from continuing by some issues that we had with the user interface. But all of these things are now resolved, so we're good. So, let's continue. But today is a special day. Why is today a special day? You're wondering. This is why. Planets are aligning today. Oh, it's exciting. Apparently, it's the last time in my lifetime, probably, that this is going to happen. So it's quite interesting. So if you want to learn more about this or what happened, you can search for it. But it's happening today. So hopefully the planets will align when it comes to the code that we've got to do today and everything will go perfectly. Right? Yeah, right. We'll see what happens, innit? Okay, so let's go back to the app for a second and I'll show you what was going on. What's the best way of showing you? Well, let's show you what actually happens now, I suppose. So, if you remember a while back ago, we were trying all the different GUI frameworks, right? And we looked at Iced, and we liked some things about Iced, but not everything about Iced. And then we tried to mix some of the Elm approach to the architecture into Cushy, and it worked. But it turns out it didn't. And the reason it didn't work is because when you send a message, there is no guarantee that all your subscribers are going to get every message that you send. And that was a problem. The problem manifested itself when you do two things, when you send two messages very quickly. And that was happening in the Planner app when we opened a project. So one of the messages that's being sent is the message to retrieve the Project Explorer's data. And the other message that was being sent was to get the project overview, which contains the name of the project that you just loaded, because that is embedded within the file itself, right? And on receipt of the view for the Project Explorer, it renders a view. And on receipt of the project information, it's supposed to update the tab bar. But as you can see on the last video thumbnail, it had loaded the file. Where is my screenshot? Many videos in at this point in doing all this. Here we go. Let's see if I can bring this up. You can see on here. Yeah. You can see that. It says add PCB. And up here, it says loading. But it's already loaded. Yeah, so it was broken. So what was happening was the message that gets the project overview was being sent, but not being received. And this, of course, presented a bit of a problem through the entire architecture into question. So I didn't want to develop any more until that had been resolved. And happily, that coincided with me slicing my finger. So Ecton, the author of Cushy, implemented channels into Cushy. And once my finger became a bit better, I was able to use the code that he wrote and port the application to it. Yeah. So in Cushy now, there's a bunch of code to do with channels. Reactive channels for Cushy. And if you remember the tabbed document interface that we started writing all the different GUI frameworks, which looks like this, this has now been updated. So when you click the OK button, instead of a message being changed, a sender is used to send a message. Let's have a quick look. Yeah. Let's have a quick look. So, yeah. Let's find a message that gets sent. Documents, image. Oh. Yeah, the toolbar ones will do for starters. Right. So, in our little test app, we have. Oh, what happened there? Eh? Oh, I think I must have done an editor mishap. Okay. Yeah. So we've got our toolbar, and when you press the home button, it now sends a message like this. So it goes, toolbar message sender, send. And we had this thing where the app receives toolbar messages, and then if it's got a toolbar messages, it delegates to the on toolbar message handler, which then calls the toolbar with the message and so on. And we have ended up with a nice separate sort of components, each knowing about themselves and not having dependencies on each other, which is the way you want it. So toolbar message sender. So instead of passing a dynamic message into here, which is what we had before, we now pass in a sender of a toolbar message, and then we use that sender to send messages. And let's have a look at the code that calls this. So when we make the toolbar, we give it a sender, and the sender is created here. So build gives you, well, I'll show you. If you do this, finish, right? You get a sender of some type and a receiver for that type. But if you call finish after calling on receive, you only get the sender back and the receiver is configured and you don't have a reference to it anymore. So the idea is that you create a receiver using build. On receive consumes the receiver and adds this callback to it, which basically wraps the toolbar message in an application message of type toolbar message, and then uses the application message to send an application message, which is then handled by the regular code that handles all the application messages. So that's how that changed anyway. So that got done. Yeah, that got done. And then once I was happy with that process of changing the application, I then ported those changes into the main application. And that tab document, example is on the Cushy GitHub as a pull request. So you can see the last change I did to that, which was somewhere here. If you're interested in that, you can look at the actual individual commit for it. So here's how the code changed. Previously, we had a message and we were doing app message set, and now we've got app message sender send. So let me slap a link to that in the chat. Plop. There we go. Right. So that happened. And then I pushed some changes, and then in the Discord server, hi everybody in the Discord server. They're over here on my other screen. Someone said that, oh, you've got a white space error. And I'm like, I didn't do that. Yeah. Well, apparently I did do it, but I didn't know I did it. I don't know how I did it, but it happened. So then I ended up going down the path of like Rust format. So now all the code gets formatted by Rust format, but it doesn't happen automatically. So I can still create commits with unformatted code in them, but as soon as I try and push them to the repo, I've got a pre-commit hook which checks the local repository to make sure that everything's formatted. If you've not come across Rust format before, lots of people use it. I'll paste the link to it. Rust format. Not sure if this is the exact. Well, anyway, this is how you configure it. Paste the link to that in the chat. So the idea is that if you've got badly formatted code, you run Rust format on it, and everything looks beautiful. Except it doesn't. There's some situations where humans do a better job of formatting the code. But overall, it's not terrible, and I can't find any way to work around some of the issues that I have with it. So I'm just going to go with it because at least it's consistent, and consistency is good. So that got done as well. This was the pull request for Cushy that Ecton made to add the channel support. I'll paste the link to that in the chat as well. There we go. I'll try and paste these links into the video description after the stream as well if I get a chance. Yeah, so that's the pull request for that happened. Yeah. Yeah. So now we can continue with doing stuff. But the question is, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? Yeah. What are we trying to do? We're trying to make a planner app. And we've got a CLI app for it. Don't want to go over this too much, but we've got a CLI app for it, for which we've got tests. And in the tests, there's a sequence of things that happen. And essentially, we're trying to go through this and recreate the ability to do what these tests are doing, but from the graphical user interface. So we did create job. We've done add PCB. Add PCB looks like. So I suppose if we go demo 1 and we stick it in there for now, and we go okay. And then we can go add PCB and we can go test, and it's a single, and we go okay. There it is. Amazing. Amazing. And that is apparently all we need to do. Next. So the next thing that the CLI tests do is assign a variant to a unit. And what's a variant and what's a unit? So if you're doing a job, you want to populate a bunch of PCBs. Each of those PCBs can be placed like on your desk, or you can do them one at a time, or you can put them in a pick and place machine. And if you've got a panel, then bottom left of a panel of 6 might be unit 1, and then the next one across to the right might be unit 2, and so on. And if you've got a pick and place machine that can take 2 panels and you do 2 of them at the same time, then maybe you've got 2 panels and you've got 6 on one and 4 on another, and you've got all this unit assignments and so on. Right, so we've got units, and then we've got variants. And if you remember from way back, I don't know, probably in July or something, 2024. Oh, it's been that long already. It's been ages. We were doing a bunch of code to do with designs and design variants and so on. And the idea is that you create a design. Great, it's done. And you want variants of this design. So say you've just got a battery with a switch and an LED and a resistor, but you want to make some of these with a blue LED and some of them with a red LED. So you make a whole bunch of them. You've got a little coin cell battery holder, you've got your resistor, and you've got your switch, and that's the same across all of them. But there's one component that's different on everyone, which is the LED. And you might change the resistor as well. So you have a variant for that design, right? So you need to assign a design variant to a unit that you want to build. And then you load up your machine with red, green, and blue LEDs, and then you say, I want to build 3 of them. Off you go. And the loadout for the machine needs to contain the coin cell battery holder, the appropriate resistors, the appropriate LEDs, and the same switch that's used on everyone, right? So that's the idea. So assigning a variant to a unit. The way we did this in the CLI, I don't even remember, it's been so long ago, was this. So we ran the CLI app and we used the assign variant to unit command, which required a design a variant and a unit. It's going to get a little bit tricky at this point. Yeah, so how do we want to do it from the user interface? Yeah, we need to put our thinking cap on now. Let's open this test one that we're working on. So we've got these unit assignments, right? And we've got these panels and a single one. We don't know how many units are on a given panel. Where do we want to make the unit assignments? Do we want to click on a PCB and then go assign variant? Or do we want to click on PCBs? It show us all the units. We haven't got any units to show. Yeah. Unit assignments. I mean, we could go unit assignments and then create unit assignments and then what? I don't know. Let's have a look at more stuff. Yeah. So as a result of adding a design variant, I can't remember the specification for the unit. Because it's basically a path. I'm trying to remember whether we added wildcard support to this or not at this point. I don't think we had. Well, yeah. Yeah. I'm thinking, does the GUI need to know anything about design variants? Oh, that's right. There should be files present for the placements for the design variant that you want to build. Yeah. Yeah, I'm just looking at the prerequisites which are done here. Yes, let's have a think. I've got placements here. That's a typo. Oh my god. There, look, we did something useful today. Uh, yeah. Do a quick commit for that. Right, away we go. So right. I'm just thinking, how are we going to do this in the UI? I suppose what we could do is have a button that says assign variants, right? And in the working directory, there should be appropriate CSV files. I'm just trying to work out whether the design and the variant name can be ascertained from the files that are in the current directory. In order to populate like drop downs for a UI or something along those lines. So the file name that the program needs is blah underscore blah underscore placements. But there's no real way of working out from this file name where the design name ends and the variant name begins. And it's probably a bad idea anyway. Yeah. Right, so we need to create a form which asks for a design variant, a design name and a variant name in order that a file name can be built. Well, I guess we don't need a file name, but we need those arguments. And the other thing that we need is the unit. And I kind of want to make it so that the UI helps the user choose the unit. So if we go back to our UI, we've got a single and a panel here, but there's no concept of how many units are on this panel. This is sort of worked out the more design variants you add to it. Yeah. Because you don't really want to have to configure your panel and say there's 5 on there. Yeah. And then if you've got X out or skips on your panel, so sometimes you get a panel from a manufacturer and they say, don't use the instance of this circuit, of this design at instance 3 on the panel because it didn't pass tests, and they put a cross on the PCB to say don't use this one. In which case, would you assign a unit to it? And how do they all need to be consecutive? Oh dear, so many questions are coming out. We've not even done anything. Okay. Let's have a button that says assign units. Assign design variants. Yeah, let's do that. And then we're going to pop up a dialog, and it's going to ask us questions in the same way that the add PCB one did. Let's run that again real quick. So the add PCB one brings up this. So we're going to do the same kind of thing as that. And it was 2 weeks ago when I did that, and I don't remember how I did it. So, yeah, let's go. Planner app. No. Planner GUI. That's what we want. Right, and if you remember, there was an add PCB thing in here. There it is. So if we search for this, we should find the code that adds stuff to the toolbar. There we go. So let's do another one. And let's, yeah, rename this one. What's it going to be? Assign. Is it create unit assignments? Create unit assignment or mints. Let's go with just the one, because that's what the CLI is doing. So we need to add that to the toolbar, and we're gonna have to do something else in here. Create unit assignments. Close. And we'll get to this in a minute. Now I know this GUI is going to be very wordy, and at some point we'll create some buttons. Maybe we'll do something fun like use AI to generate toolbar buttons. Because, you know, it's the year of AI, isn't it? Then we need a translation for this in Spanish, because that's what we're doing. Yeah, okay. All right, we'll go with that. Asignaciones de unidades. Yeah, something like that. My apologies to any Spanish speakers that my pronunciation is terrible, but there we are. Right. So we've got that, but it's sending the wrong message. So I suppose we need to go create unit. Assignment. I'm sure I put the cursor there. Oh, is my Spanish right? Yeah, that was plural, and this has got to be. Yeah, I knew it was wrong. No, it's wrong. It's half the battle. Yeah. All right. So we need one of these. Right. And now it's not going to compile now because there's no handler for this message somewhere. I think we're going to need one. It's probably going to complain at us. Yeah, there we go. So we need to do something about where that message is received. So the add PCB one works like this. So this one is going to work the same way. But it needs to do something else. It needs to do that. It needs to call a function called create display create unit assignment modal. Why not? Let's just make that method and have it do nothing. But this is supposed to return anything, do something, maybe? Oh, it needs self. So, yeah. We've got that. Maybe it compiles now. Let's see. Yeah. Restarted my computer the other day after some Windows updates, and all my audio settings were wrong. So hopefully everything's fine on the stream. If not, you can wag the finger at Microsoft. Right, it compiled. Let's run it. So we need to open the project. Right, so we've got our button now, but we click it and nothing happens. Well, something actually does happen. We can see that messages are being sent and received, which is good. So we've got message received, app message, tab kind message. It's got a tab key in it. It's project tab message. And the project tab message contains a toolbar message of type create unit assignment. There's quite a lot of onion layers there, isn't there? Got it. Oh, magic. So yeah. So now we need to do the same stuff that we did before. We need a modal with some controls on it in a grid with an OK button and maybe a cancel button. Yeah, and we'll go from there. Yeah, okay. So we added this mod for dialogues. So let's go pub mod create unit assignment and create a file for that. Blop. Yes, we'll add it to Git. Thank you very much. Okay, so that's one of the things that we need to do. We also need a reference to it. Think. I'm not entirely sure whether we need another modal. Let me have a look at this. Option modal handle. Do we care that this one is specifically for the add PCB modal? Or can we just use this modal for all of the dialogues that we display in this area? So this was created here. No. But what happens with the handle? The handle build dialog. It's consumed by build dialog, probably. No. Where's the setup? Right. So a new modal handle is created here for that. I've got a feeling we can just reuse this one. But should we? Should we just keep them separate? I mean, what happens? We get a handle, and then somehow we need to layer all the things with the modal. Yeah. New handle. Can you call new handle multiple times on the same modal? Okay. I don't know. I probably need to find out a bit more about this. Create unit assignments. We're just going to go like this for now. And if it turns out that we can combine these, I'll do that as a separate commit. But because I don't know, I want to make some progress. We're just going to go with duplicating it for now. Right. So we've done that. And then we need to do this. Yeah. So we create new handle from the same modal. I think that's how it's supposed to work. But honestly, I don't know. Okay, so we did that. So that was all fine. So then we need to get that handle. But not that handle. We need the other handle. So we got that. And then we need to create one of these forms. But not that one. So we need a create unit assignment form default. Right. And that's going to live in here, I suppose. And we'll just derive default for now. And it needs to be public, I suppose. Come on. Now we can import it. There we go. So we've got a form. It doesn't really do anything yet. So we need to take our handle and do these two things. Which is build the dialog and then show it. And let's add the cancel button as well, because that's always going to be the same. But the OK button is going to be something entirely different. Yeah. So we're going to go with the default button. Phone the sender, and we're just going to stop it at this point, like we did before on the last stream. Oh, where's this going? Do we need a bracket? Yes. No. Too many things. Brain hurt. Oh, we're supposed to return something. Should close. We've got to return should close. That's why it's complaining. There we go. So we're not adding a PCB. We are create unit assignment. I keep doing the plural. Maybe it'll turn into a plural. I don't know. Right, so we've got the sort of basic idea of what we want to do, but we don't have a form yet, and this is complaining because it doesn't implement make widget. So we've got to do that. Right. I suppose that might be sufficient. No, what do we need? I need to look at the other one because I've forgotten how it's supposed to work. Do the validations and we just call something called make widget on it. Yeah, widget instance. What's the problem? Problem's probably right there in front of me. Oh, it's yeah. What's wrong with that? The trait wrapper widget is not implemented for reference to this. Oh, hold on. Hold on. Oh, it's I was supposed to use the reference to it. That's why. That's why, like that. There we go. It's always something silly in it. It's that was because in here we passed a reference to form and not the form itself, because we don't want to consume the form when we make a widget for it. Okay, so add PCB should still work. Create unit assignments shows a dialog. And we can press OK and it says OK clicked and it closes. Good. And we can press cancel and it says cancel clicked and it goes away. And the other one still works. Yay. Okay. Now we can start thinking about what needs to go on the actual dialog itself. Let's close all the other tabs for now. We'll keep this open. Yeah. So we need to put some things on here. Let's look at the add PCB one. Well, we need a grid. Why do we need a grid? Because we want things on the left to align vertically. Yeah. So the way we did that before on the add PCB form, let's get rid of this for now. There we go. The way we did that was to create rows and then a gutter because of the fix me, and then create a grid widget and then add them to the grid and then call make widget on the grid. And it's quite possible that there's some other structs and classes hiding in here once we start duplicating this. But for now, I'm going to do some duplications. So what do we need to ask for? Let's go back to the CLI app again. So the CLI app was asking for a design, which is a string, a variant, which is a string as well, apparently, and also a unit. Well, but this unit is a bit funky because it's got a path there. So in the UI, what I kind of want to do is show this object path as the user makes selections somehow based on what you've added. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And because we've added the PCBs, we've got a list of PCBs that we can allow the user to choose from, and we can ask them for a number, which is the unit number. Yeah. And we can probably default the UI to the last PCB that was added. But maybe defaulting it's a bad idea. I'll think about that later. Okay, so let's first ask for the design and the variant. So we need 2 grid rows with string inputs. So let's borrow this. But we've got these validations. We've got to deal with validations. So let's deal with validations. Let's borrow some of these things as well. So in our form, we need a design name and a variant name. And we've got to make sure that those aren't empty. So we've got some validations. We need some validations. And the way we do validations is to have a validations instance which holds the information about what validations you need to do, and so that you can then later reference it and say, is everything fine? Right. And I guess we're going to need this method because we're going to call it in the same way later. So we're going to borrow that. We're not going to do these yet, but we will very, very shortly. So we need our validations in here, right, which is just a reference to it. I'm going to leave this bit here for now so it doesn't bark at us. The compiler, that is. So we got this name widget. So we're going to borrow that. And then we're going to comment it all out. Yeah, name label. Except this one. Okay, wait a second. Let me rename things and then comment stuff out. Name label. So this is going to be design name. This is going to be design name input. And this is going to be design name here. But we're not going to use these methods to validate things. We're going to have to use... What do we do? Self. Yeah, we should be able to. Self. Does it like it? Yeah, because it doesn't know about that. Yeah, I think I might have tried that before, but it doesn't work. Because you're inside make widget, which is kind of weird. So we're going to need that, validate, and then we're going to need design name. Then we need to fix some of the localization things, which live in here. So we've got a form. We need these ones. So this is going to be form, and then it's going to be create unit assignment instead of add PCB, and it's going to be an input, but it's called design name, like that. I don't want to copy that. I want to copy that. Right. Right. And then there's a placeholder. Oh, I spelled design wrong. Yeah, design name, and then we need placeholder on here, right? Yeah. So design name, placeholder. It's definitely a required field. But design name row, design input label gutter. So we got our first row. While we're in the middle of doing this bit, let's do the next one, which is variant name. So let's search for the word design. And rename it with variant like that. This needs to be gutter 2. And then we're going to need all widgets and a grid and to call make widget on it. So we're going to replace this now with creating the grid. And we create the grid from a design name row and a gutter, and then a variant name row and another gutter. And the first column is going to be fit content, and the second column is going to be fractional. And this is where Rust format has reformatted my nicely formatted code and made it a mess. Because before what I had was this. and it was easier to read. A Rust format has ruined it. So we're going to leave it like that, and we're going to watch Rust format ruin it again. But for now, we'll keep it like that. Yeah. See, humans are still better than computers at some things. Although 2025 feels like the year of lots of AI progression, it's kind of snowballing very quickly at the moment. I was tinkering around with DeepSeek the other day, the hot new thing. I might have to try and spool up an instance of like DeepSeek here on my 4090 with that Olama thing and have a little fiddle with it and see what it's like. Because I've got a feeling, right, as we progress through this project, I'm going to be making use of tools like DeepSeek, which have got the what's the way the reasoning. They've got the reasoning process to it. Instead of just regurgitating a bunch of text, they actually do some thinking that can actually solve some more complicated problems, which is good. Because I'm no expert when it comes to like toolpath calculation and all this kind of stuff that we're going to have to do at some point when we actually get into like machine operations code. And I'm sure that it's going to be great, a very useful tool to use when we come to write some of that code. So the longer we focus on this planning stuff, the more I'm going to be able to use AI to help me in the future with some of the other things. Yes. I need to have a fiddle around with that Google Gemini as well, because that might be quite useful in helping me learn other tools. It's got that new multimodal thing. Oh, that's all very interesting this year. All very interesting. Right. It's moaning. Why is it moaning? It's moaning because we don't have these yet. So we need to borrow those from here. There's quite a lot of copying and pasting going on this live stream. Apologise about that. But you know, this is just the way of it sometimes. So we need to validate our design name. And it's basically going to be this, really. And it's going to go a validate design name. And it can't be empty. There might be some other validation that we need to do at some point, but this will do for now. The eagle-eyed amongst you might have specified that we also need this one. So let's do that one as well. Yeah, okay. Validate variant name. Now, a lot of this logic, like is empty, then give us this error. It's all going to be it's going to be very similar for many form fields. So creating some validation builder which spits out something, I don't know, might be the way to go with this. So the idea might be that you say, I want to validate that it's not empty and contains at least one non-white space character and all this kind of thing, right? And this is common amongst all of them. Yeah, I have to have a think about that. That might be interesting and to optimize that a bit. Maybe that should live in Cushy itself. Oh, that's an interesting error. I might be able to get away with not doing that. But okay. So now this is not complaining about these two things, which means Which means that it should compile, right? It does indeed compile. Okay. I could run it now, but I'm not going to. What we're going to do is make sure the form is valid now that we've got these validation things. Right. So the way we did that was to get the validations from the form and then do something. Which is this. Why is it? Well, that was weird. Oh, it's it's a match. True. I'm like, hold on, what's wrong with that? Okay, so yeah, and everything should be fine, right? We should have a dialog with some form validations on that closes when everything is valid. Let's find out. Create unit assignments. Okay, it's true. I didn't add that. Let's fix that now. Design name, variant name. Let's run that again. I think I didn't screw that up. I might have done. There we go. So now we've got our grid with some stuff in it. And if we press OK, it shouldn't close. Yes, it says cannot be empty on both of them, which is good. Let's make sure that they can be validated independently. Yes, indeed. So that's all good. That's kind of what we want to be doing. But now we need to capture that information and then do something with it. But we can't do that yet because we've not asked the user for the unit. Okay. What GUI elements can we use to ask for a unit? What do we need? So now we don't know anything about the project really. I mean, we got the Explorer thing. This is where it's gonna be fun. Let me do a work in progress commit. Well, I guess yeah. Unit assignment. A note that I haven't run Rust format yet. Add create unit assignment modal. It's not finished yet, but you know. Oh, I jumped the gun there. We need to borrow these. Let's run those through a machine translator and grab them. And I think they went here. Let's have a look. Form create unit assignment name. Nombre de diseño. Sí, nombre de diseño. Por ejemplo, mi diseño. Sí. And we've got two different quote styles going on here. We've got these quotes, and then we've got these quotes. So we're going to fix that. Because here we've got this style of quotes. Nombre de la variante. Muy bien. Okay, so we've done those. Let's check the translations work real quick. And we're going to open this, and we're going to go into this, and we're going to click this, and we're going to do this. I'm quite happy how you can just switch languages while you've got a dialogue open. You don't have to cancel out the dialogue. That's pretty neat. That's pretty neat. Cool. Yeah. Okay. So that appears to be working. Let's amend that commit. Thus. So let's do the bare minimum first. Get it working and get it working, and then get it working well. Right. So we're going to ask the user for a number for the PCB unit, and if it's wrong, then we're going to handle errors. And we haven't actually done much in the way of handling errors in this, so it's probably a good idea to do that. And then we're going to make it so the user can't make as many mistakes as a way to make the system better. So what do we need in order to do that? We need PCB number and a unit number in order to build the path. See, but am I just making more work for myself? Because we need to ask for three things. We need to ask for the type of PCB, as in panel or single. Then we need to ask for the instance of that, like 1, 2, 3, whatever. And then we need to ask for a unit number. So asking for a unit number doesn't depend on anything else. Unless you've already added that one. So I suppose they're going to have to validate that as well. Okay. Then what are we going to have to do? Yeah. Okay, let me open this up and look at it again. So what is valid for our current project that we've got here? So we've got PCBs, we've got one panel and one single, right? So we can have single equals 1 and panel equals 1, and they're valid. Panel equals 2 would not be valid because there aren't two panels, and single equals 2 would not be valid because there aren't two singles. So do we just deal with that as part of validation? Or do we build a UI that, you see, but there isn't a drop down in Cushy yet. I'm getting a bit maddened by the lack of drop down box in Cushy. Let me just mention this in the Cushy Discord server. Drop down / pop up. Just letting you know that today I'm finding again the lack of a drop-down pop-up frustrating when building dialogue. Because I don't want to use like radio buttons. I want to use radio buttons. Because what I want to do is populate a drop-down with the types of things that you've added to your PCB. So, for instance, if I've got a drop-down, it can have nothing in it if you haven't added any PCBs, which would be good. Because then the user can't press OK, and because they haven't picked one of the fields because it's required, but there's no options in it because you haven't added any PCBs. So then you go to add a PCB and you add single, right? And then you go back to the create as unit assignments dialog, and then in that drop down, we want to add single because there is a single PCB. And then at some point, once we've added singles and panels, we could populate both of those two options. But I don't want to start creating radio groups. And then, like, conditionally not adding them to the UI. I mean, yeah, we can definitely make the UI better. But we're going to have to do radios for now. Which, interestingly, is going to be exactly the same as the kind that we added in the add PCB. That's interesting. Funny how these things work out like that. So we've got this PCB kind thing. And we want to reuse this. So it feels like I need to extract this and move it somewhere. I don't know. It's sort of like UI. I need a place to put it. It's not in dialogues. I could create a mod called types or something dumb like that. But all the things in it are types. Let's go with. See, I don't really want to create a UI mod. I honestly don't know where to put this. Let's just put it in the dialogues mod itself for now, and then move it somewhere else later. Let's put it in there for now. And then eventually we'll find somewhere else in the project to move it to, and it'll be fine. That one. Right. So the next thing we need to do is add this PCB kind. So I'm just going to like literally duplicate all of this, which let's go odd common. Let's make that public. So we've got this. I'm gonna. Well, we've got to build names, but it's part of macros. Oh dear. Because this macro. It might work. Let's find out. Let's find out. I'm going to try and extract this. Refactor extract method. But then we, oh no. Yeah. Okay, now's not the time for doing that. Let's just copy and paste it. Yes. We are indeed going to copy and paste more stuff. Because we need to refactor this into some reusable thing where we can build kind choices in a label and put them in a row. Like form helpery things. But the problem is you need to know the form name which is used in that, and you also need to know the type that contain the type and the validation method for it. And I don't want to solve that right now. I'm more interested in getting the functionality working and then making it nicer. Red, green refactor, you know. That kind of thing. Right. So before the grid, we're going to paste that in. And oh, it doesn't know what kind is. And we're going to have three things that are all used together. But it's not that. It's a PCB kind. Those. No, one of those ones. Why is it complaining about that? Oh, yes. Yeah, and then this is now common. It's not particularly for this form. But the duplication for now is fine. So we're going to go to the translations and we're going to borrow this. And then I'm going to put a reminder. Deduplicate these. I think we need like a... shall I just... Yeah, let's just do it now anyway. Common. Oh, not common PCB. But I think this should be PCB kind, like this. See, this is interesting. When you're adding a PCB, you don't need to have the word PCB in front of it. You just need the word kind because the context is adding a PCB, so you already know that it's for a PCB. But in this window, it's different. Should I bother doing this? Let's go with it. Right. And then we're going to just change the other one. And it's going to say PCB kind, even though you're on a PCB, add PCB form. It's all going to be fine. Okay. And then we need to use those over here as well. Panel. Single. And PCB kind. Okay. Kind label. It's sort of... See, here it sort of needs it, doesn't it? Because the context over here is you're adding a PCB. So no. And then this needs to be this validator. Then we need to borrow the validator. Validate PCB kind form input choice empty. Yes, it's true. If the PCB kind is none, yes, it's try. Yeah, okay. So that seems okay. But we need to use this PCB kind row. This needs to be 3. And we need the PCB kind row. Right. So we've got that. Right, what else do we need? So we've got the PCB kind. So we're asking for that, and then we need to know the PCB number. It's not really a PCB. It's more of like a PCB instance. Let's go with PCB instance. Yeah. Okay. Fine. So we're going to borrow the design one again. And we're going to do this. We're going to get PCB instance row 4. That's what we're trying to do. This. Change that one. Plop that in there again. Let's see. What is this? What did we say it was? Instance. Oh, but we've got underscores in some places and dashes in others. That's annoying. I'm not quite sure what happened there. Oh no, I didn't delete the old bit. Oh dear. Disaster. Okay, so that is what we do, I think. Right, so then we need a PCB instance. Now, what is a PCB instance going to be? Probably I could have done this the other way around. Do we just want the user to type in a number? What programming language am I using today? Realistically, do we want it to be a U size? Or do we want to constrain it a little? U32? I'm going to go with U size. It's probably stupid. Because I doubt that anybody is ever going to like assemble that many PCBs on their pick a place machine in one go. I'm going to put a to-do and match this type up with the types used in the object in the core. I'll do that at some point. For now, it's going to be a U size. Right, so we need to validate the use. We need to validate this. We need to validate that. So fun validate PCB instance. This is where I want the AI to just write this for me. Let's see. How do we validate it? It needs to be greater than 0. Oops. So I suppose you go. Oh. Error. Localize. That, but not that. Number. I mean, should we? Why have I got U size? Should we do this if I know you can do this. If it's greater than 0, then it's good, right? I'm going to do that for clarity. Otherwise, everything's fine, right? And I did write equals 0, but now the code matches the error message. Greater than 0. Oh. Require, I suppose. Okay, now it matches. Everything's fine. PCB instance. Right. So we've got this, and it's moaning. You don't have placeholders for integers, so that's fine. But the problem now is that the input doesn't take it doesn't take U sizes. Let's look at the cushy code base. Now there's probably going to be other widgets that we can use, which is like one that shows you like a number and you've got the plus and minus buttons either left or right of it or above and below on the right hand side or something like that. But I haven't got one of those yet. So we just have to use an input. And I kind of want to know how you ask for a number. Yeah, it's got a counter with buttons. It's just trying to find an example that might use something like this. Are we going to have to make it accept a string and then convert it? Please tell me no. We are, aren't we? Fine. In which case, we're going to put the placeholder back. And we're going to have to change PCB instance to be a string. And at which point, usize. I suppose we need to parse the string. Thus, but we want to try parse. Well, I suppose we don't care about the name of that. Let's go match okay with the instance, which is now a usize. And then put all this here in here. And then add the other remain. It can't be parsed. So I suppose we have to do something like. I don't really care why it can't be parsed. Wire number. Usize, maybe. That was weird. See it? Bool expression can be simplified. I know, but I don't want you to. So we need to add these to our translations. Which go with the other ones. All right. Sure. Okay, that should be okay there now. So we've got our PCB instance, we've got the label for it. Right, so let's have a look at the translations. So now we need to add the translations over here. This one and this one, right? Yeah. PCB instance. Sure. Okay. That might work. Validate PCB instance. Let's try compiling it. Let's see what we forgot. Nothing, apparently. Amazing. Let's run it. Okay. Create unit assignment. Let's go. Oh, look, we've got a form. That's looking reasonable. Design name, variant name, PCB kind. Let's see what happens if you press OK. So you need something. That's okay now. Number greater than 0, 0. Require a number greater than 0. 1, which is fine. A, require a number. Yeah, that works. Okay, so now we've got all the information. No, we don't. A lie. I was going to say we've got all the information we need. We don't. We need the other thing, don't we? Which is almost the same as the thing we just added. This is the unit number. We need the unit number. Okay, so okay, sure. We're going to borrow this. Slap another copy in there. Rename that to number 5, and then change PCB instance a bit. This is going to be unit. I suppose it's PCB unit. Okay. And this validation is going to be exactly the same, or is it? I think it is. Yeah. It won't be later, but it is now. Okay. And then we need one of those. And while we're here, let's rename this to PCB. Don't do that. Let's rename that to PCB kind. And then we want unit here. So we've got kind instance unit. Don't need those anymore. I'll put those there. What did I forget? Oh yeah. Unit number. Well, it's PCB unit, isn't it? My first guess was wrong. PCB unit. Okay. Then we need translations. I think we should have a lowercase I here. Yeah. Did I forget anything? Yes, I screwed that up. PCB unit. Right. What do we think? Now do we have all the information we need? Let's go. One of them. I suppose we should check these independently. -1. I mean, it is a number. I'm not entirely sure whether it's quite integer rather than a number. Well, no, even that's wrong because you can have negative integers, can't you? But it's the parsing. We have to look at the reason why in order to pick the right error message. Okay, we need to fix that, really, don't we? So let's look at those validations. So if it fails to parse a U size, require positive number. Let's go require positive number. Yeah. Okay, so now we've got all the things that we need. Right. So in the project, where we've got our form from which we can pull out the information, we can now create something which we can then put in a message to send somewhere. Right? Just like we did for the PCB. So we say what we're going to do, and then we create a message with the arguments, and then we send it. So we're going to do this in the same way. Form result unwrap. Yeah. Yeah, we can do the same as that. That seemed pretty good the first time. So if it was valid, then we need to do stuff. Yeah. And instead of adding a PCB, we're going to go in create unit assignment. Right? With some args. But I don't want to create this yet because I want to define the type of the args. So the form has a result on it. So if we look at the add PCB form, all right, it has a result method which creates this PCB args thing. This PCB args thing lives here in the mod, right? So let's borrow this and make it do something like that, but not exactly that. So we're not creating add PCB args, we're creating create unit assignment args. And if it's not valid, we return an error, and we need to convert things and all the rest of it. I need to borrow that. Why can't it call get on this? Creating. Oh, it's probably because it doesn't know what this is yet. So we're gonna put that here for now. And do the same kind of thing, pub struct, whatever it is, and then this goes here, and then I'll do that twice. Design name, which is a string, a variant name, which is a string, and then we want the object path, which is going to be a string. And that's what you need in order to create a unit assignment. Right. We can see that is what is needed to create it, because in our app, we've got our core assign variant to unit. I suppose we could update our GUI to use the same terminology. We got an object path, but this object path, where does this live? This lives here, which is here. I kind of want to use one of those. Let's go object. Right. But I can't import it from anywhere because it's not exported anywhere. So our app needs to re-export that. Which is done here. So these ones. Do we have object path in here already? Let's have a look. Yeah. So we're going to pub use that. So now we can go back in here and we can import it. There we go. Hopefully it's got debug and clone on it. I guess we're going to find out. Create unit assignment args. So now we can import that here. I'm a little bit confuzzled about this. PCB kind is a dynamic PCB kind over here, but what's the problem? Is this just a red herring here now? I'm not sure what's going on with that. So we need design name over here. I'll come back to it in a minute. Why is it complaining about that? Does it not have an import for get? Oh, it's just that. Okay, fine. And then it's missing the object path. We don't have an object path yet. We need to build one. Oh, who remembers how to build object paths? I don't. We add chunks to it. PCB kind and index. There we go. Well, we did that. Set ref des, PCB unit. So we got a way to get these things from it, but we didn't add. We haven't got a way to add them to it easily. Okay, I guess we could probably expand this API a little bit. But we go a set chunk. Yeah, it's true, but there's so it either sets it or does that. Yeah. Wow, this is a while ago I wrote this. So I guess we need to go object path default. And then let's make it mutable. Why? Okay, this isn't public. Oh, I see. I mean, it could be public. Should it be public? Should you be able to arbitrarily set chunks, or should all the chunks be controlled? Let's expand the API. So we've got set ref des. Let's have a look. Have we got a test for this? Object path set ref des. Yeah. Update ref des. And we give it the PCB kind. And we give it the instance. And we know the instance is a valid usize. Um, oh. So this is PCB instance. Yeah, there we go. But we want to unwrap that. We know it's valid. Why is it complaining? Oh, dot get. Right. Okay, now we've got our U size. So we've got that. And we've got this. But the problem is, this is 1 based, and we need 0 based, I think. No, I think we want 1 based. Is this bit object path? Oh, no. Don't remember. Don't remember. Let's go and look in the CLI. So here we said 1 based. We're going to run with it. When we come to do some testing, we'll find out whether that was right or not. So we got the instance. So we go set. So we need this method. Okay. So we'll borrow this test. Let's put it here. And when we go set PCB kind of instance with a PCB kind of panel and a value of 1, right? Then we should expect that, right? Oh. No. We expect that. Okay. That's what we want. Yeah. Okay, so let's make that happen. And the IDE still does stupid things like that. And we're going to borrow this, put that there probably, but it's not going to be ref des. It's going to be some panel. So we need to define the key based on the type of kind. So fairly sure that the 2-string of this should do that. PCB kind, 2-string, single and panel. Yeah. So that's okay. So the key is that, and then the value is the instance 2-string. It needs to be mutable. And yeah. Okay. And it worked. Amazing. So we've got that method. Happy days. Then what do we want to do? We want to set the unit number. So this goes, it's PCB unit, I suppose, like this. And then we need to let's do all these up here. Unit. Rename this as well. There we go. Follow suit now. Unit, which is also a U size, which is also, we know it's going to be valid because we've got validation. So everything's fine. So we're going to borrow the same thing we did a moment ago. PCB unit. So we expect the unit to be 1. Where we go, set PCB unit. Oops, I keep pressing the wrong button there. And we need to implement this. And we're going to borrow this. Do we want to prefix? Yeah. Let's do that. And then this is unit to a string, and then this is init. What happened there? My brain didn't work. That's what happened. And then this needs to be mutable, and it's not just for the crate. And that should pass, right? Oh. But it needs to be a U size. Should still pass. We've got to run it, though, not just compile it. Okay, that worked. So I suppose ordered stuff. Let's do one test where we add all 3 of them at the same time and make sure the output is what we expect it to be, because things need to be pushed onto the object. I don't think we've got a good test for that. I'm going to borrow bits of each of these tests. I'm going to borrow that. Right. And a refdes as well. And we do them in order. And then we should end up with an object path, append chunks is what we're doing. And then we're supposed to have a refdes on the end. Somewhere over here. So we create it and we add things to it and then we check it and it should all be right. And if it's not, then we've got some problems. Pen chunks. Everything's good. Okay, great. So in our project, was it the project? No, it was this result thing, right? So now we've got this and we've got an object path. Happy days. So now we can go back to our project. And we've got a bit of code that creates one of these. This bit, this is what we're trying to do. No, not that bit. This bit. So now we've got our args. But we're not trying to add a PCB here. We're going to go create unit assignment. Design name variant name. Oh dear. And object path. And it doesn't know what this is. Did I not make these public? No, they're public. What's wrong with that? Why is it confuzzled? Is it as confuzzled as me? Is it because this doesn't exist and the ID autocompletion is failing to work? Yes, that is the case. Args dot what? Object path, I suppose. Okay. And I'm sure Rust format will format that for us. So now we can send a project message to say create unit assignment with the args. And now if I create this, it'll create it with the right type. Right, but nothing handles that yet, so this won't compile. And we should have a... No, not that. This. Compile the right project. Be more useful. Okay. Yeah. So somewhere we had this add PCB. There it is. And underneath that, we're going to go project message, create unit assignment with some args. We're just going to print a debug message for that. Create unit assignment. Okay. But we need to return a task. So what we need to use now is the core service. So we need to return a task. But we don't have a task yet. We need a task, so this should... Yeah, so it needs to use the core service to raise the appropriate event with the core service, passing the arguments across that we just defined, and then request the project view again, because once you've added a unit assignment, you need to refresh the tree view. So it's pretty much the same as this, interestingly, except that it's not going to be add to PCB. It's assign variant to unit. And this thing takes these properties here, design variant and unit, which we've got in our args. So design. Now, we've got a type for this, and here we've got a string. So we might come back and fiddle around with that. Right. But these need to be exported in the Planner app. So somewhere we import them. Yeah, here. So we need to re-export those so that we can use them over here. There we go. And maybe we can change our args type to use those. Oh yes, it's called... Which we probably should do. Right, this is private. Do we have a Fromster? No. Do we have a new? No. Oh, we do have a Fromster. Okay. It seems a bit silly to have to do that, but we're going to go with it for now. Variant name has a Fromster as well, so why is it complaining about this? Oh. Oh, this is supposed to be variant name. I imported the wrong thing. Design name, design variant, and then we need variant name as well. The other one should still be publicly exported, though. It's fine. There's a design. I mean, really, we probably could have this args to just contain a design variant, because a design variant just wraps the two things. But then we have to unwrap them anyway in order to pass it to this. So I'm just going to carry on with this. We know they're going to be able to be converted. That's fine. But this is going to be variant name. And then the last thing we need is the unit. Oh. Really? Oh no, it's the object path. Yeah, I suppose that is right. Yeah. I suppose. And maybe that's enough. But like, what if the user types things in wrong and it fails? I think we'll deal with that on another stream. Okay, so we're going to try it. So, create unit assignment. Now, it's just not going to work too well. Now, and we've got a single... Oh, I can't. I tried to move that out of the way. Single, 1, and 1. The problem is, we don't have the placement files. Let's just see what happens. Oh. I think it might have worked, but I'm not entirely sure. I mean, it definitely did something. But were there any errors? I mean, yeah, there are. Look, here we are. Exactly. There's an error. The system cannot find the specified file. So we're going to have to fix all that stuff. But that's not for today. We're going to improve error handling as a separate thing. So let's do. Okay, I'm going to do 2 commits, then I'm going to reorder them. We're going to format some stuff too. Let's have a look at what cargo format does first. This is how it's failing. Fine, line width, chaining, too many things, undoing what I don't want it to undo, never mind, line length, missing comma, chaining, I suppose it's okay. I mean, it's quite long now, isn't it? Splitting the error onto 2 lines, like why? Why cargo format? Why? Removing a comma. Cleaning up white space. Everything looks fine. Off you go. And it changed everything for us. So now we'll do a commit, probably. But the changes to object path I want to do separately. So we're going to add. Oh yeah. We didn't do the translations, did we? Form inputs. Yeah. Yeah. We've got a common. These were renamed from somewhere else. Find. Yeah, these ones. They went here. But the keys changed. Uh-huh. I don't think we added these. Did we not? Yeah. The unit assignment, PCB instance and PCB unit. Instancia PCB greater than 0. Yeah, okay, fine. We'll go with it. And they go underneath these. What's the difference here? Oh. We could delete these. I think that's it. Let's have a quick look at it. Now, I didn't save what we just added a minute ago because saving is manual. So we shouldn't have that design variant here. We don't, which is good. So add PCB still shows us these, which is good. And create unit assignment shows us these, which is good. It's properly translated. And then in Spanish, we're good. Yeah. Okay. So we want all those things. but not these things. And then we're going to reorder the commits. And we've got adding these things. So I don't want these things either, because these are exposing visibility of some types. So we're going to amend this. Then we're going to re-export some. What are these? What's the word for it? I'm trying to think. Data types or something. Types is fine for now. So we just put pub in front of those. It's fine. And then the object path, we expand the object path API. Sure. Yeah, we're good. And then we'll reorder those. So make it look like we did everything in the right order. Like that. And everything's fine. And let's quickly do a cargo format check. Everything's fine. Quickly run cargo test. We've got some warnings about things that aren't constructed. That's just because we've not done them yet. But that's okay. I went through these warnings yesterday. We don't need design variant. That's an error, which we need to fix. Build. Yeah. And so are these. Right. Okay, and then we're going to run cargo format again. And then we're going to amend that last commit, which should be the create unit assignments. Right. Then we're going to run it. And that is probably going to be it for today's stream, I think. After this, let's have a quick look. It should be fine. Create unit assignment. And I'm doing this with the keyboard. Note. Iced users. Look, I did stuff with the keyboard. Productivity app. I didn't touch the mouse. It's one of the reasons why we're using Cushy. So it did stuff, but there's errors that we didn't handle, which we're going to need to fix. But that's error handling. Separate commit. I mean, if the files were there, it'd work, right? Probably. Probably. I'm sure it would work. I mean, we've got tests to prove that it does. So, you know. Git push origin master. Right, yeah. So that's it for today. On the next one, I don't know. Maybe I'll poke the error handling before the next stream. Maybe we'll do it on stream. I'm not sure. Yeah, but we're getting through there. We're getting through there. We're making more progress. We've got design variants being added. So we'll see what happens on the next one. So just remember, folks, it's only software. How hard can it be? We'll find out on the next one. See you later. Bye.